The coming months will see another wave of migrants forcing their way across the border into Belarus. According to a European Commission report, this is to be evidenced by more migrants being pulled from, among other places, sub-Saharan Africa to Russia, from where they then end up in Belarus. To protect the border, the government has introduced a buffer zone. However, its impermeability leaves doubts. I, for one, am in direct contact with our border guards. I recently spoke with one of the senior officers who told me very clearly that unfortunately their work continues to be obstructed, for example by so-called border activists who work with the handlers of people at the border and cooperate in such a procedure as destroying documents for illegal immigrants. It's hard to imagine what the situation at the border would be like if not for the barrier erected by the Law and Justice government. In the beginning, opponents of its construction were the Civic Platform, which voted against the construction. After Donald Tusk came to power, there was talk of strengthening the structure, and the Shield East program was announced. Months passed, and no work on the border began. We will continue to hear for the next few months that something needs to be improved, that something needs to be built, that Shield East needs to be built. But we must realize that Shield East was only for the European elections. That is just all talk and no action, as well as a form of political nonsense or political fiction. It's being talked about, and yet nothing is being done. Specific steps to de-escalate the situation on the border were made by Polish President Andrzej Duda. During his visit to China, he tried to get Beijing to influence Minsk and Moscow to ease pressure on the Polish border. According to Bloomberg, these efforts were successful. President Andrzej Duda used his state visit to Beijing in late June to link the issue of migration and cargo transit at the Belarusian border. Since then, the number of illegal border crossings from Belarus to Poland has dropped significantly. This stance by the president was praised by Poland 2050 MP Sławomir Ćwik. The cost of a container transported by rail is about $600, and by sea, it's $1,200. By rail, it takes 12 days to transport, and by sea, it takes more than 35 days. And that's why this is so important for China, and why we should use this leverage now, so that we don't have a migration problem here. Certainly, the defense of the border would be more effective if the Polish state were unequivocally in favor of uniformed officers guarding it. Instead, there are special units in the prosecutor's office that collect information against the soldiers. Maciej Struk, TV Republika.